Hi students, welcome to NIRS Education. As we already know that reproduction is a process in which the organisms gives birth to their young ones which are same with the basic characteristics as their parents. So for example, human beings always reproduce or they will produce the human babies. Cats always produce the kittens, and sunflower seeds always produce the sunflower plants. The seed of a mango produce the plant of the mango tree. So like this, the production of the same organisms with the same basic characteristics as their parents. So in the reproduction there are two types. In reproduction there are mainly two types, which are the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So the sexual reproduction is the process in which the offspring arises from a single parent. The offspring arises with only a single parent. So the production of the new organisms from a single parent without the involvement of the sex cells. Sex cell means the gametes, is called asexual reproduction. The production of a new organism from a single parent. So the involvement of only one parent takes place. So without the involvement of the sex cells. Here this point is very important. Without the involvement of sex cells. So are gametes, that is the sperm and egg. So that is called asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is considered because it does not use the special cells called sex cells. Here we can't see the involvement of the sex cells or the gametes for producing the new organism. Whereas in the sexual reproduction we can see the involvement of the sex cells, the gametes, the sperm and egg. So that is why it is considered as the sexual reproduction. So in the asexual reproduction, a part of the parent for the production of the new young one, a part of the parent organism separates off and grows into a new organism. A part of the parent, it is going to separate. So here in this picture you can see how the hydra is going to reproduce. So this is the complete body of the parent. So here we can see one new organism is going to produce. With the repeated cell division, the cells of this parent organism only going to separate. It is going to cut off, and that will grow as a new individual. So that is called the asexual reproduction. So there are many kinds are there in the asexual reproduction, or in the asexual reproduction some different types are there. So they may be the binary fission, that is in the amoeba, multiple fission, that is in the plasmodium, budding in hydra, spore formation in rhizopus, regeneration in planaria, fragmentation in spirogyra, as well as vegetative propagation in the flowering plants. So these are all the methods of asexual reproduction. These are all the methods of asexual reproduction. That may be the binary fission, multiple fission, or it may be the spore formation, the regeneration, fragmentation, vegetative propagation are the methods of asexual reproduction. So there we can see only the involvement of one parent. So there is no involvement of any sex cells. Without the involvement of the sex cells, the production of new young ones is going to take place. That is called asexual reproduction. So here one point, very important point that you have to note here, that the asexual reproduction is the simplest method of reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the simplest method. Compared to the sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction is the very simplest method, whereas the sexual reproduction is very complex kind of the sexual reproductive method, but here this is the simplest method. So it takes place mainly in those organisms whose bodies have a simple structure. Asexual reproduction takes place in the organisms whose bodies have a very simple body structure. So the simple animals, simple plants, and simple microorganisms like bacteria. So they will reproduce by asexual reproduction methods. So actually the asexual reproduction takes place in the unicellular animals and the plants. So the microorganisms like bacteria and simple multicellular animals like the hydra and planaria also, we can see these kinds of the different asexual reproductive methods. But in some multicellular plants, that is like the bryophyllum and the rose plants, undergoes the asexual reproductive methods. So this is the difference between the sexual and asexual reproduction. So this is the very simplest method of reproduction. So remaining, what is the sexual reproduction and how it is going to take place, and what are the asexual reproductive methods, and what are those examples, that we will discuss in the next session. Thank you and have a nice day.